Good morning, everybody. It's the end of January already. 2022 is going pretty darn fast and all sorts of things going on. And I have two Marks as guests today. My main Mark is Mark Antonation, who we all know and love from Westward, who is now with the Colorado Restaurant Association. Welcome, Mark, number one.
Hi.
And
Thanks
Mark,
for having me.
Always. Mark Chapleau, who is just a very best friend buddy guy, who is a fabulous lawyer of Chapleau. And we decided it would be fun to find out more about, because Mark has Mark Antonation, some great things to tell us about. And as a lawyer and consumer and a person he and his wife I go out to dinner with often. So hi, Mark.
Hello, how are you doing, Gabby?
It's going to be Mark and Mark, both with a K. Okay, you take the lead. Mark Antonation. I think you should certainly, and Mark, everyone just join in, have fun. But I think that you should tell us the reason that prompted the call today.
Yeah, I think because I work for the Colorado Restaurant Association, and specifically my job is with the Colorado Restaurant Foundation, which is the nonprofit wing of the CRA. We are involved with workforce development as part of our mission for restaurants. And we have some kind of new programs that we are trying to help restaurants with staffing issues, finding new talent, and one of them is an apprenticeship program, and I think that's kind of what caught your interest, right?
Right, I got several notices about it, and you really wanted to promote it and make it bigger.
Yeah. So, apprenticeships are not really a new thing, even within the restaurant industry. But the one that we are building rapidly is called Restaurant Youth Registered Apprenticeship. And it's a program that's funded by the U.S. Department of Labor through the National Restaurant Association Education Foundation. And Colorado is one of only 4 states that is running this program. For short, we call it RIRA. So if I say RIRA, that's what I mean. And it involves young people ages 17 to 24 years old who are interested in getting into the restaurant industry. Possibly it's their first job ever or first job in the industry. And it gives them the opportunity to learn while they make money. So it is a paid internship, and they sign up to take classes and get certifications as well as learning on the job. And then the restaurant gets, an enthusiastic employee who's learning. The restaurant gets to be an education provider themselves. So it's kind of a win-win for everybody.
Where do they take classes?
So it depends. The program, the idea is that we sign up a restaurant to accept apprenticeship, and they have to agree to certain conditions like teaching basic skills. There's a kitchen line cook apprenticeship, and that's for 17 to 24-year-olds. And then there's a restaurant management apprenticeship, which is 18 to 24. And we were just approved for a kitchen manager also apprenticeship. I don't have too many details on that, but that'll be coming out too soon. And then we work with community training partners such as Emily Griffith School, who provides kind of the classroom and or distance learning part of it, and the apprentices They get certifications like serve safe food handling, serve safe alcohol, things like that that help them in their career, and also ensure for the restaurant that they have employees who really know the basics of the job.
Mark, if an individual that hears this podcast is interested in this, do they reach out to the Colorado Restaurant Association, or are there a number of restaurants here in Colorado that are already signed up with this program and they can reach out to the restaurant? Which would it be?
Well, for about the past 6 months, since July, August of last year, we've been working with a very small number of restaurants to make sure that the program is working properly. So we've got some good locally owned places like Brighter and Chook Charcoal Chicken. But we also have a couple of national places like Yaya's in the Tech Center and Gaylord Rockies Resort and Convention Center. And we're working with high schools that run ProStart programs to take students, who have just graduated high school and are now working in apprenticeships. But yeah, we would love to get the word out more to more, young people who are looking for jobs. And so this is part of the push. If someone is interested in becoming an apprentice, we're encouraging them to talk to the restaurants that they're interested in working at. They can also contact us to find out which restaurants we're trying to sign up. I think probably info@coderestaurant.org would be the best way to contact us. But it's kind of right now, it's kind of a cart before the horse, or a chicken and egg thing, where we're building both sides simultaneously. So within the next couple of months, we should have a lot more restaurants signed up. Our goal is to have statewide more than 150 restaurants.
Oh, wow.
And more than 270 apprentices placed, this summer. So
Okay, excuse me, but my understanding was not too many restaurants are aware of this. You're trying to make the restaurants aware of it as well.
Yeah. So we've been reaching out to them through direct email and social media. And we definitely, within just the last week or two, have gotten a lot of responses from restaurants. So our team, who primarily not me, I'm involved in communicating with the restaurants, but we have people setting up meetings and working through the details, doing the real hard work, meeting in person. I think we had responses from just about 200 restaurants just in the last 2 weeks,
Mark,
expressing interest.
And I think I read that there's kind of a dual benefit for these restaurants. There's a stipend involved, they get some money, and they are potentially bringing an employee along that's going to be properly trained.
Right. For a short time, we received a grant through the Colorado Workforce Development Council that allows us to pay a restaurant $3,000 if they onboard an apprentice. The funds for that are pretty limited. So, we're talking about probably through early mid-March, we'll be able to offer that to
get on board now.
Yeah.
Select restaurants. But yeah, in the long term, I think the benefit is that you are bringing along an employee, and restaurants are also allowed to nominate, if they have someone on their staff right now who they think is a good long-term employee or a good fit for the program, they can choose that person and make them an apprentice. Nationwide, the National Restaurant Association Education Foundation has shown that there's an 80% retention rate among apprentices. So that's quite a bit higher than the standard retention rate for industry employees.
That's a great opportunity for somebody who's 17 to 24.
And
Definitely.
to be clear, the educational part of this is covered by the program. Is that right? There's not an additional cost to the apprentice or the restaurant?
That's correct. Normally, a restaurant would either send their employee through this training and pay for it, or the employee might, on their own go take training and pay for it. In this situation, it's covered, and the training community partners that we're working with, we're making sure that they're not taking the hit either. So it's kind of, I think it's a great program for everybody involved. Right now, a big number of we have pre-apprentice programs set up at Cherry Creek Innovation Campus, so that those students who are in ProStart in high school now can, as part of their curriculum, become a pre-apprentice, and that way when they graduate, they're ready to go and into an apprenticeship with some of these certifications already in place. Warren Tech up in the foothills is another one that we're working with.
What is the reach as far as, are you finding that most of the restaurants you're dealing with are in the tight Denver metro area, or is your reach pretty expansive throughout the state?
At the moment, we're the restaurants we have signed on right now are within Metro Denver, but we're targeting the entire state. And for example, Summit County, we've had a lot of interest. We recently talked to a restaurant in Gunnison, where there's a lot of interest in, education, workforce education, but they don't necessarily have the resources or, community partners there to take on the training side of it. And so, for us, it looks like young people, might want to move to the mountains, work in a resort community, and have fun and have a good job and learn all at the same time. The restaurant then becomes kind of a focal point as a known provider of, hospitality education. So then they can kind of become a magnet for more employees in the future.
It sounds great. The biggest problem I see is just getting the word out, like to the potential apprentices.
Yeah, I think
and to the restaurants as well.
I think, reaching employees themselves, I think is the difficult part. And I know, over the past couple of years, the restaurant industry has really taken a hit because, people may not want to work in a restaurant where they're not sure if it's going to stay open because of COVID regulations. And, but it's still, especially with a program like this, you're giving people a path forward from the very beginning and saying, if you start out this way, you're going to make yourself more valuable to the industry. And I think that's the advantage for employees.
Mark, I agree with you, and I think that we've realized with going through COVID, a lot of people that were in what we call the lower income jobs were kind of making decisions and getting out. What kind of incentives would you say as far as coming back into the restaurant industry that we can encourage young people to get into this business? I know as someone who goes to restaurants, I'm tipping a lot more. I'm tipping more people that I didn't used to tip. For instance, just doing carry out, leaving tips when typically you wouldn't do that. So I think there's opportunity, but how would you express, what kind of income these people would hope for, or how to move that along?
Well, I know that Colorado and Denver governments have both helped out in the past few years by raising the minimum wage year over year for the past few years. There's also a lot more, because the industry, and frankly, a lot of industries are realizing that, you know, they need to be able to provide for their employees. There's a lot more, you know, health insurance, paid days off, things like that, that are kind of more on the table than they've ever been before. With the apprenticeship program, part of the requirement for the restaurant is to give the employee at least one raise during their apprenticeship period, which for a line cook example, we figure a year is probably the tops for an apprenticeship for line cooks, but a lot of times it's going to be a lot shorter than that, especially if they're
If
coming from
if they have to
situations
take
where
them
they're,
for, go ahead.
I'm sorry,
They have to take them for 2 years, you said.
2 years for the restaurant manager apprenticeship.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So, you know, that way the employee is kind of looking at like, okay, I'm already going to be able to make a little more if I stick around. So yeah, and I think, you know, as like you said, as consumers, there are things that we can do. Tip well, be friendly. You know, if there are regulations saying that you should wear a mask, just go ahead and do it. It doesn't hurt you. It's and it's going to make things a lot easier for people who are already dealing with a lot of stress because you know, of the situation right now.
Well, totally on all of it. And I do believe even the National Restaurant Association is asking for people to help with everything just to keep the restaurants open.
Yeah. And that's one thing I know the RRF Restaurant Revitalization Fund, they're talking about, you know, refunding that for this year. There are petitions out there that you can go out and sign right now online, and just with a click of the button, it sends it to, you know, your state representatives. I've done that. A lot of restaurants are asking to do that because, believe it or not, a lot of times things get passed in districts or constituencies that just have to do with sheer numbers. You know, maybe they're not reading every email and letter that they get, but they take account and they say, hey, a lot of our constituents want this. I'm gonna, you know, fight for this bill.
Well, and getting back to, you know, getting the word out, I started out as a very young man working in the restaurant business, and so often there are programs available to them, and even the ones that they're intended to serve don't know. And don't know that this option's out there for them. Yep. Is there another part of this program that is beyond opportunities like this with Gabby to get this word out and to get it out very publicly that this is available?
Well, we are, you know, we've talked to other media people. We're going to be running some more social media. You know, we'll be running some ads to get the word out. So a lot of it starts in high school too. People who are in programs like Pro Start, which is also a Colorado Restaurant Foundation program. You know, there we have 40 something high schools that run this program throughout the state. So it's, you know, not just Metro Denver. We've got schools on the Western Slope, in Southern Colorado. So a lot of young people are learning about that, and if they want to get into the labor market right away, then it's a good fit for them.
Well, it sounds fabulous, and I just hope, and I think the other Mark and I are both saying the same thing, is we've got to get the word out. And my show isn't enough. I don't know if you can send things to all the high schools or something. I can't imagine a kid, I hate to say a kid, a teenager who needs a job whether they're in high school or not, they work. And this would be a fabulous opportunity. And as far as the restaurants go, it sounds to me like for them, at least, the young people would really want to do it as opposed to,
And I think, a good example of a career path that's not, I think a lot of people see restaurant jobs as like, this is something I'll do in college. It's something I might do part-time, but I'm going to get out of it. One of the restaurants we're working with is City City and Watercourse Foods. They're same owners. Well, I talked to the COO of the 2 restaurants, and they also have the bakery next door to City City. So 3 businesses total. And he was in ProStart in high school. So he learned, had a culinary background from high school, went to college, not for culinary stuff, and decided he wanted to get back into restaurants. And now he's, I think, early 30s, and he's the COO of a restaurant company with 3 locations. So, and he started out as a line cook, worked his way up. And when I talked to him, he was like, I wish I had known, about other programs after high school that I could have accelerated this. But, when you're in your 20s, sometimes
you don't think of it.
Yeah, you're not necessarily thinking long term.
Right.
So getting into this business is not always the traditional track of going into some well-known culinary school and getting a degree in culinary arts. Some people start at the front door and work their way up.
Yeah.
Another show, another day. I can tell you a bunch of the chefs from my era who none of them were culinary to start with. Jimmy Schmidt, Mark Miller, and all of those guys had other careers. Stephen Piles, they were pianists. They were they were lawyers. Jeremy, whatever his name is. But, they're all something else, and there they are.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an industry, once you get hooked, you're there forever. Whether you're the consumer, whether they're me, who's still a consumer, Mark Antonation, who's been a food critic. I mean, to have lived it all, you're part of it. You're not going anyplace.
Yeah. And I think especially like no matter what else we do in our lives, we're almost all consumers at restaurants, and we want to see them all succeed, and because it's just having restaurants in the community is just
it's our life.
Everyone. Yeah.
And I really wanted to talk restaurants, but guess what? It's not enough time right now. So maybe we could make a date and we could sit and talk about the latest of our new favorites and what's going on and little fun spots.
And Mark, the info at corestaurant.org, is that an email? You'd send an email to that address and ask questions?
Yeah. Yep.
Is there a website?
Our website is also corestaurant.org. And there's more information about all of our programs, and then contact information for all of us who work there.
And is there a telephone number for information that people can call?
Yes, that is on the website too. I'll just look.
He doesn't know it by heart.
I know.
Does anybody know a phone number by heart anymore?
It is what he is. Dial 1. Mark Chapleau, you want to give yourself a plug?
Yeah, it is 303-830-2972.
2972.
Yeah, you.
And I can't leave without mentioning the president of the Colorado Restaurant Foundation, Laura Shunk, who has been amazing at building these programs. And
good for her. Well, she was a food critic before too.
Yes.
So see, everybody started someplace.
There you go.
We have a great team, so I'm
Yes, you
just
do.
happy to be a small
And
part of it.
my pal Denise Mickelson too.
Yes,
Well, and
Denise.
as a consumer foodie, I've enjoyed this, and as a father of children who are out there in the workplace, it's interesting to see these opportunities out there, and I'm going to fully support it. Gabby, I'm going to probably link this podcast on my on the Bock and Chapleau's website and or on our Facebook page, so that we can pass this word along to as many people as possible.
Great. And Bock and Chapleau is the name of your company, and mine is just TheGabb. Please like and subscribe to TheGabb on YouTube. This will be up on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, as soon as my brilliant mind gets it up. And I love having both of you, 2 Marks in one day. Thank you to you.
Thank you, Mark. Very nice meeting you. Thank you, Gabby.
And thank you so much for helping us spread the word.
Oh, I'm all for
You're very
you.
welcome.
Much love to everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.